Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
Alon, which player departure from your favorite team broke your heart the most?
Oh, you know what?
Coming out with a banger here.
It's actually so. I've thought about this before.
Yeah,
I've never been so mad than when Yoenis Cespedes got traded from
that's
the
a
A's.
great one.
And I don't know why that's the one. I care about that one more than the Khalil Mack. I care about it more than the Maxx. I don't know. For whatever reason, Derek, I felt like that team had a chance. You ship him to Boston, you get John Lester. That team was dynamic with Yoenis Cespedes, and then the offense just fell off after he left.
No, dude, not for whatever reason. That's a valid reason. I remember where I was. It was the summer of 2014. I was just about to leave Texas. I just left my apartment in Austin. I was staying at my mom's place in Houston. And then I was about to fly out to my dad's a couple days. And I'm hanging out at a bar with my friends. And my buddy goes, and, I've always grown up a baseball fan, really the A's.
Mm-hmm.
But I never back then we didn't have alerts on our phones. So I wasn't keeping tabs on the trade deadline. But I think my buddy Rob came to me and said, "Did you see Cespedes got traded?" And I was like, "Cespedes of the A's?" And he was like, "Yeah, you went to Cespedes." And I was like, "You're full of shit." He goes, "No, they traded him away." I was like, "What?" And at the time, I shouldn't have been too surprised because it was the A's, and I've seen so many of my childhood, favorite players walk away in free agency or get traded. But that one shocked me where I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, dude. That season at the All-Star break, I want to say the A's and the Giants had the best records of baseball. And I thought it was all set up for them to have a Bay Bridge series again back in 1989. Mm-hmm. Like back in 1989. But that move fucked the season over 100%.
Yeah.
So that one didn't crush me as much because I've always been more of a football fan than baseball fan. But when that news broke, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Dude, it's not like for whatever reason, Alon, that's a valid one, 100%.
It was for a John Lester rental too. And
he ended up shitting the bed, if I remember correctly, in that wild card game against the Royals.
No.
Yeah.
And you're right about that. Heading into All-Star break, both the Giants and I thought we were going to get the same thing, a Bay Bridge series. And A's had about 10 or 11 All-Stars. And the Giants obviously the Giants had a great season that year in 2014. But yeah, for some reason that
their
one
rating was 10 times better.
Yeah. For some reason that always sticks with me. I don't know why.
No, because, dude, that move alone ruined the season. And then that offseason, Josh Donaldson got traded to the Blue Jays. So, that one, that's a good one, Alon.
How about you?
I'm like younger me, like 10-year-old Derek Papa, the day that my dad told me that Jason Giambi was leaving to go to the Yankees. And I didn't know that was definitely in the works for quite some time. And if you were watching ESPN every day back then, you knew that was inevitable. Mm-hmm. Or even prior to his free agency, that probably was the case where we all knew in Oakland, if you were covering the team, he was going to leave and be clean shaven and not be the same Jason Giambi like he was when he was MVP. For me, it is Khalil Mack, honestly, because in the remaining years of the Raiders in Oakland, I thought that they could have gone for a championship and they chose not to. And that 2016 season was promising. Might have been fool's gold, but it was fun. And I thought they could have built on that, and they chose not to, trading away Khalil and Amari. And, that pissed me off. And everything with my father, too, being fired from the team, and Khalil Mack being, in my opinion, this generational talent, the likes of which me personally, I thought he was doing Lawrence Taylor type things. And later on he did with the Bears, lifting up, I forget the offensive lineman of the Buccaneers. I always bring this up, but it was just so impressive. His ability to pick up one guy like a forklift with just one bicep. So, when that happened that day on that Saturday morning after, I remember me, Steven, you remember Brian Ratto from back in the day. We were all hanging out, and then I woke up just hungover, and then Steven texted me being like, dude, they did it. And I was shocked. And I shouldn't have been because there was a lot of reports going on, but the fact that they just did it, and my reaction was they didn't get any players back. That's insane. Just for 2 first-round picks, and the Raiders have to give up a second-round pick in return. Terrible deal. And now here we are, 8 years later, not exactly 8 years, but damn near close, to the Raiders making another deal for Maxx Crosby to be traded away to go to the Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk about it today. Just your opinion, man, coming at you on Sunday evening as we prepare for the fuckery. That's right. We see Rock a New Era. We see Ernie in the chat right now. If you guys want to interact, I'm down. But just know, guys, I think AJ Cruz is boycotting the show today. That's fine. But you know what the deal is here, all right? We get down for the fuckery. So if you're not down, then hit the bricks. But me and Alon are talking free agency, the fuckery, for the next few days. We'll talk about it tonight, along with tomorrow. Alon's got another previous engagement. So I'm going to hold things down tomorrow, solo dolo. And then we'll see how things materialize as the week goes on. We may do a show on Tuesday and Wednesday. But before we get to any of that, Alon, daylight savings, and this is something that me and Steven always talk about. I prefer this time of year when it comes to daylight saving as opposed to where we get fall back. We get more sleep, but I like the sunshine in the afternoon. Like right now at 5 o'clock on the West Coast, the sun will go down in probably like 30 minutes, maybe around 6 o'clock. And now we'll get more sunshine until 7 o'clock. And I love this time of year where daylight savings, here in Oakland, in the East Bay, it was beautiful outside today when walking around. And, you walk around the lake like I do, see the occasional NFL news. Life is good. So I'm digging this time of year when it comes to daylight savings and the fuckery and the weather.
Oh, I'm so sick of the winter. I mean, for the winter for me, I like skiing, right? If I get a chance to go to the mountains or go to the snow, but otherwise, I don't want to deal with it getting dark at like 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't like that. It's dark until like 8 a.m., 7:30 a.m. No, I'm right there with you. Also, it was a perfect day today here in Las Vegas. It was about 71 degrees. Like, it was just awesome. So, yeah, no. And we get NFL free agency, which is amazing. Then we get the draft. We get baseball season that doesn't get to be bothered by a lot of other things eventually when the NBA season ends, and I don't have to worry about the Warriors and all these other things. And we get a little March Madness. No, it's a good time of year. I know NFL is over, like no games right now. But hey, we also get spring.
It's never
football.
over, Lon. It's never over.
It is never over. And there's the awesome spring football that I think we've all tried to selectively become fans of at one point or another.
No, dude, I remember it well. I think it was 2019. I want to say it was that off season. You, me, Tommy Call, Nash, others. We all got into the. What was it? The
AFL? What was that called?
The the American Alliance, or no, the AAF.
AAF, yes.
The American, we just called the Alliance, the American Alliance of Football. And I was down with the San Diego Fleet. That was my team. There was also the Birmingham Iron, who had Trent Richardson. We all tried to fill that void in our lives without actual playing football. And the football wasn't terrible. It wasn't great either. But I think Rick Neuheisel was in that league and Mike Singletary. And then the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes invested in one team, and then he realized he wasn't making a profit, so he took his money out, and then the whole league folded after that. Yeah, the league folded. That was wild. And since then, there's been 2 or 3 other leagues, the new XFL, and then they've merged with all this stuff. I mean, it's not the same. No, I haven't tried in any of these other leagues. I think after the Alliance folded, I tried the XFL. It wasn't bad. Right before COVID hit, that was in full swing, but I haven't tried since. And I'm not going to, because I love, this time of year when it comes to sports, yes, I love football season, but when we get March Madness and baseball starting up, the end of the NBA season, and we get NFL news, all for it, man. Yeah. So let's start things off with the breaking news that happened on Friday night. I got done with a show with Larry Krueger, looking for every possible angle when it comes to NFL topics and 49ers topics. Then as soon as the show ends, I go into our bullpen, and then I see the notification from Adam Schefter. The Raiders have traded Maxx Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round picks. And I'm kind of surprised that it happened Friday night. It was definitely a news dump, and Many people have not been able to react to it. If you have like a weekend podcast, cool. But the major networks, everybody, they'll have to do it Monday morning, coinciding with NFL free agency. But my reaction was, this is a good move for both sides, really. And I know we've been talking about it, and I thought that a deal was eventually going to get done just because all the reporting, Mike Silver saying that Maxx Crosby wants out, but he wants to go about it a certain way where he's respectful towards the organization and Mark Davis. And we'll get into his comments he made and when he posted a video yesterday saying he is leaving the team to go to Baltimore. I think that with all the reporting out there that they were not going to get 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby, I thought it was bullshit. I thought that you cannot trade away this guy for anything less. And I understand that he's 29 and coming off a meniscus tear, but he is one of the better players in all of football as a run defender and as a pass rusher. And me and Steven used to get into it back in the day where I was like, he's not up there with Khalil Mack. And I still think that's the case, where Khalil Mack is just a freak. Maxx Crosby built himself up into something from being, what was it, a 4th-round pick or a 5th-round pick?
4th-round pick out of Eastern Michigan, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, and he became a great player in this league. And when you talk about the best pass rushers or just defensive ends in general, guys setting the edge, whether it's running or passing, he's top 5, maybe top 3. So if that guy's available in a trade, yes, the least you should offer is 2 first-round picks. And there was a lot of rumors out there that he wanted to go to Chicago. Were the Bears actually serious? It sounds like they weren't. And not a lot of teams were offering 2 first-round picks. And I guess the Cowboys came close. Reports are out there that they offered a 1st, a 2nd, or possibly a 3rd and a player. And the Raiders said no. The only team that was willing to offer 2 first-round picks were the Baltimore Ravens. And I really didn't consider them because they just don't make moves like this. They've never in their history traded away a first-round pick for a veteran player. It's always been like draft compensation, or moves in the draft, I should say. But when you looked at the draft order, it does make sense. Like, I had my focus on the Cowboys at 12, the Rams at 13, because they both had 2 first-round picks. I didn't consider the Baltimore Ravens, and they're right there after those teams at 14. So it's the best of both worlds. You get 4 first-round picks for the next 2 years I have that right? Yeah, for 4 first-round picks. And yeah, you get that from Baltimore. You get it in this draft, early on in the draft at 14. And Maxx Crosby gets to go to a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. If he went to Dallas, it would have been a battle with the Eagles in that division. If he went to the Bears, that team, in my opinion, is the most competitive division. I think that his best chance to win is with Baltimore. So, yeah, I think it's a great deal for both sides, Alon.
No, it's a really good deal for the Raiders. I mean, it always sucks when you have to trade away or lose. I mean, they didn't have to, but it sucks when you lose a player like Maxx Crosby, of course. Yeah. I mean, he's on a Hall of Fame pace for sure. He's meant everything to that franchise. But, I thought the big hangup was going to be getting a player back. I guess the big hangup was whether they were actually going to get that 2nd first rounder. And so that's because that's what we talked about last time we were on. And that's what Baltimore was able to come up with. And no one was really able to match it. I really thought the Patriots might be that kind of team that might be in play for it. But, it's Baltimore instead. Very surprising because Baltimore, like you said, Derek, doesn't really make these kinds of moves historically. They don't swing for the fences like this. They might sign someone in free agency or do something like that, but they're usually not. They're so good historically at drafting their team, especially defensively, that they're not usually making these kinds of big moves like that. The one thing I will say about this, it's good for Maxx Crosby. He goes to a team with a quarterback. We all know quarterback is the most important position in football. That's really what's going to dictate whether you're a successful team or not. But this is a team that's not coming off of a great season like we've seen Baltimore lately. They have a new head coach in Jesse Minter. And, I'm not saying that, he's going to a rebuild, but he's going to a team that expects to be competitive, expects to be contending, and is now trying to revamp things, not just with him, but a new coach and trying to get some more juice into that program over there. There's a chance where the Raiders in next year's draft with that Baltimore pick, are probably getting like the 20th to 23rd, 24th pick. I mean, it depends how far they go, but there's a real chance where Baltimore maybe is a wild card team or something like that. I mean, it all depends on what goes on in Pittsburgh as well. But
Right.
let's just say I don't know if Baltimore's ready to win the Super Bowl just yet. And I love Lamar Jackson and I love Maxx Crosby, but you're probably looking at not a horrible back end of the draft next year pick as well. So I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. And depending on how bad the Raiders are next year or this upcoming season, they might be bookending the draft, really. So they might have like a number 6 pick and then a number 27 or something like that. But I think it's great value. I mean, he clear his cap off the books as well. It sucks because they have him under contract, and now the Ravens have him under contract for all those years, but just the way it works. I think this is a lot better value than the Mack trade. We brought up Khalil Mack at the start of this podcast. Was there ever a player who went all pro in the same season at 2 different positions? Because Khalil Mack did that. And I know people kind of go, well, did he really play linebacker? I'm like, no, he did play outside linebacker as well. He rushed the passer most of the time doing that, but he was able to do that as a defensive end and a linebacker. Maxx Crosby is a totally different player. I don't know how many defensive ends there are. I try to think of the different defensive ends in the league that can do the same things that he does or play the same way. He's unique. He's one of one. He's a unicorn. So it's a great trade for Baltimore. I think they really think that, okay, this gets us to that point where we can rush the passer now consistently and, really build something here, get to a Super Bowl finally with Lamar Jackson. And I think for the Raiders, it's them saying, we're really rebuilding. Our cornerstone pieces now are Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, whoever the quarterback is. It's going to be Mendoza, and then rebuilding the defense in a different way. So I think it works out really well for both sides. For Raider fans, I don't think it's as big of a gut punch as the Khalil Mack thing was. I don't even think it's close because that team was competitive, right? And I know they had the down 2017 year, but I can attribute that to other things. And this time around, it's like, hey, the team was not competitive, and it's just a good mutual breakup, I guess, between both parties.
Yeah, I think this one is easier to swallow than Khalil Mack because that was unnecessary. This one was generated by the player. And Maxx Crosby kind of not alluded to it, but he basically said, like, it was time for me to go. So he demanded a trade. And I think that everybody involved, John Spytek, Clint Kubiak, even Tom Brady to a certain extent, handled it very well. And really Maxx Crosby, for how much media he did, to not have that leak out or him go crazy one day when being asked a question, be like, you know what? Yes, I do want to leave. So I thought that everything was handled maturely and both parties go their separate ways. And I think all for the better, honestly, because I don't know where this Raider team is going. We could get excited this offseason with the potential of Fernando Mendoza and this offense with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, but I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't think that Maxx Crosby should sit around waiting for this team to turn things around. I think that he's earned his respect in this franchise, and he talked glowingly about the organization, how much it meant to him for these last, how long has he been playing there for now, Alon?
7.
Like 7 seasons? So he definitely has Raider Nation in his heart, and now he's going to, I think it's Flock Nation, whatever it's called, which is like every fan base now ripping off the Raiders when it comes to nation.
It's all nation.
It is all nation. Come up with something different.
Niners Empire. I mean, that's different.
Yeah,
an empire is bigger than a nation, right?
I mean, the faithful is original. I don't mind that, but yeah, nation is just like come up with something different. But yeah, dude, I think that this gives Maxx Crosby the best opportunity to win. I do think when it comes to the Ravens, yes, they have a new head coach, a guy that has never been a head coach in this league before, but Jesse Minter knows defense. And I think that he can scheme things up where Maxx Crosby thrives in this defense. And of course he can because he's Maxx Crosby. But what he's done in the past with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and just this past year with the Chargers, let alone what he accomplished with Michigan and all those guys, yeah, I think that Jesse Minter will do great things with Maxx Crosby. As far as the Raiders, as I said, they have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 drafts. You got to hit on these picks. Like that's the other side of this is, you could be cornered into the whole trade with Maxx Crosby and do what's right for him. But now John Spytek, he made a good deal, not caving and going to where maybe Maxx Crosby preferred to go to. Like this is it's not a bad place for Maxx Crosby to go. Like I don't think he's complaining whatsoever. Maybe he had his preference of going to Chicago because he likes Caleb, and maybe he wanted to go to Dallas because he's from there. But Baltimore, you can win a Super Bowl there, no doubt about it. So John Spytek, I thought that maybe they would wait to the last minute. I thought that maybe today would have been when this trade goes down. But John Spytek got the best deal on the table from Baltimore. He wasn't going to settle for anything less. He got 2 first-round picks. Could he got a player involved? I think that was a lot to ask. But the fact that he got 2 first-round picks, it sounds they were lucky to get that. So it's now time for John Spytek to hit on these draft picks. And a year ago, he did not do that. And, the team was not very talented. But if you have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years, you got to hit on those guys. Those guys need to be playmakers going forward for your football team.
One thing I will say about John Spytek is I do trust him. I think that he's a professional. I think that he approaches things the right way. I have no clue whether anybody he drafted besides Ashton Genty is actually, going to be a player or not, because so many of them, Darian Porter flashed a little bit here and there, but he also had rookie mistakes, and he's a corner with limited college experience, only played about 400 snaps at corner in college. But we didn't really get to see Jack Besh really play. We didn't really get to see Dante Thornton really play. We didn't get to see Grant or Rogers really play. So I don't know. I'm still holding judgment out on that draft class, but you're right, Derek. He needs to knock it out of the park. This cannot be a situation where you have a boatload of first round picks over the next 2 years and you end up 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3, like how the Raiders did when they had the 3 first round picks and they got Josh Jacobs out of it.
Yep.
You cannot have that happen. So, that can't be you can't just say, hey, it's got to be better than this. It's got to be much better than that. And you got to do well in the second round too. So I think it's super important. This could be transformative for the Raiders as a franchise. And they're finally the Las Vegas Raiders, I would say. This is really kind of the turn there as well. Colton Miller is under contract still, but this is kind of the Las Vegas Raiders now, finally. So they're going to have to figure out how to make this draft be the one, and next year's as well, the one that really propels them forward and not just being a competitive team, but a relevant team as well. And that's the reason why Tom Brady bought into own a football team, right? It's not so you could just have a piece of a team and collect a check and get some revenue. He probably wants to be associated with something that's winning because that's all he's used to doing. So there's a lot of pressure on them for sure. One thing I will also say about the Raiders and what they were able to do getting this, they were able to get 2 first-round picks, and they were able to handle it well, like you said, Derek, and so was Maxx Crosby. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some type of back and forth there that said, hey, Max, we're going to try to trade you. We need you to put up this kind of front. We'll put up this kind of front. And we're not going to trade you to some bum team. We're going to try to trade you to someone competitive, but we need to get a good offer as well. So, it was just far too coordinated, like you said, with all the media that he did and the good face he put up and the way that they talked about it as well. Even though everybody was kind of like, hey, he's probably going to get traded. It's just going to be, when is it going to be and what's it going to be for? They were both able to not diminish his trade value, because as soon as other teams for sure know this guy's not content there and the team is shopping him, the value goes just, into the toilet. So they did a very good job, both parties did, of making sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like what you said, where this is now the Las Vegas Raiders. And even though Maxx Crosby played 1 season in Oakland, I never thought of that. I never thought of Maxx Crosby as an Oakland Raider. I know his rookie season was there, but yeah, he's one of the last remaining members of the Oakland Raiders. And now we're going in a new era of Raider football where this new franchise quarterback will be the face of the football team. And yeah, they have to hit on these picks, man. Going back to 2019, where Mike Mayock found Maxx Crosby, it was the first round that killed him. Josh Jacobs became a great player in this league, but failing to get a great pass rusher in that draft and settling on Cleveland Farrell, 4th overall, who still plays in this league, but should not have been a top 5 pick. Same thing with Jonathan Abrams, who was a safety and flashed at times, but those were missed opportunities. That's really what cost Mike Mayock. And honestly, I've talked about this before with you. I don't think that Mike Mayock got a fair shot. I think it was John Gruden who really screwed up in that draft, where you need to find playmakers. If you're going to trade away a Khalil Mack when you don't have to, if you're going to trade away Amari Cooper when you don't have to, you need to hit on those draft picks. And when you just hit on a running back, even though Josh Jacobs is really good, that's a missed opportunity when it's just really a running back that you're not going to sign back at the end. And I know Raider fans are upset about this, but I think Maxx Crosby went about it really well. The video he posted yesterday, he talked for about 12 minutes, and you could tell that this hurt him. And he said, I failed you guys. I wanted to win a championship for this organization. You guys did so much for me. Going back to Gruden calling me, all the other head coaches. And let's be real here. Like, he went through a lot of trials and tribulations with his rehab while he was a Raider, and he got out of that. And he played, great football for this team, but he saw a lot of losing. And he wanted to dictate things, the organization as well, with demanding Antonio Pierce be the head coach, and Mark Davis caving with that, but that was a bad move. And Maxx knew that was that in hindsight now, you should never make comments like that. You shouldn't, throw your weight around as the best player on the football team publicly. So that's why you handle things with class this time around. And we got to know a lot about what goes behind the scenes with Maxx Crosby with reading that Mike Silver article where he goes after quarterbacks in practice. He demands so highly of the team. He wants perfection. And after a while, where you see Josh McDaniels come in and Pete Carroll come in and now Clint Kubiak come in, and you're coming off a 3-win season, and they did tell you the last 2 games of the regular season were going to sit you down, even though they told you they wouldn't. I understand why he's frustrated. It really is because of all the losing. It's not because of the last 2 games of the regular season. And it is the Alex Guerrero stuff, like reading that with Mike Silver's article. That may be a problem going forward. I don't want to make a big deal out of it today, but if Alex Guerrero is going to be telling players what to do when it comes to their health and, maybe just like a semi-trainer for the team, that's a problem when Tom Brady's buddy is part of the organization in that regard. And I guess there was maybe talk that the Patriots would be interested, and Tom Brady said, there's no chance in hell I'm trading him to Mike Vrabel, which I don't, I'm not going to hate that, but if it's the best deal on the table, if they offer 2 first-round picks for him, then maybe you should consider that. But Baltimore has the better the better draft slot at 14 overall. So it's not like Khalil Mack. It's a guy that really was invested in the organization and signed multiple contracts and was the epitome of being a Raider. He looked like a Raider. It's just after a while the losing got to him. So I think if Raider fans have a problem with Maxx Crosby, then you're insane.
Yeah.
I think he handled this perfectly, and sometimes guys just want to go to greener pastures. If you're mad at Tom Brady, if you're mad at Alex Guerrero, I get that. I don't think you should be mad at John Spytek just yet. Let's see how he is a general manager and what he does with all these picks. But I really don't think that you could be as pissed off as we all were 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's just not even the same situation. The team 8 years ago had a chance to still be competitive, had a chance to not do a fire sale and get rid of guys who were Pro Bowlers, all pros, things like that. We're coming off of, like you said, could have been a flash in the pan, maybe a fluke season in 2016, but they didn't even give the darn thing a chance to breathe. They were just like, 2017, Jack Del Rio, you're out of here. John, you're in. Okay, fine. Maybe get the fan base going. And, John Gruden, I think, is a fine coach. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're going to rebuild the whole roster now. And it's just like, this is not even the same kind of situation. So yeah, there are some fans who are like, oh, F Max, this and that. That's so bad. That's so classless. Number one. Number two, like, come on, everybody wants to win. And he spent 7 years, and it's pretty good 7 years here too. It's not like he never, he gave everything. He really did. I mean, he says it all in that 12-minute video that I watched by accident on Instagram actually yesterday. And because I thought it was a short or a reel. I was like, oh, it's like a 1-minute video. Then I sat there like this for 12 minutes and I went, okay, I just watched all that. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's genuine about that. So people should not be mad at Maxx Crosby. They can be mad at the Raiders, sure, for letting another great player get traded, or at least you didn't let him walk for nothing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, this franchise is in a position where they need as much capital going forward as they can get. A guy like Maxx Crosby does not help them get to the next level right now. It's just the facts. They don't have enough else around him or anywhere else on the team. And if you're going to fix one side of the ball first, offense is probably where you have to go.
I agree. I think that when he gets you 2 first-round picks like this, it's hard to pass up. And let's be real, Maxx Crosby's a great player, but like with the Cleveland Browns only winning whatever it was, 4 games or 5 games a year ago, Myles Garrett had an all-time season, but they're losing. They're losing with him, and he is wasting his career, honestly. He should have stood his ground and kept up with that trade demand a year ago. Where Maxx Crosby, he's a great player, but they won 3 games. If you really want to make changes, this probably was for the best. And now the Raiders can look to free agency to make some moves, especially now in the draft where they have these picks. They can get Fernando Mendoza, maybe get some offensive line help if it's available that late, or pass rush. We'll talk more about this draft as the weeks progress here, but it was the right time. It was the right time to move on from Maxx Crosby. And again, everything he said in that video I thought was definitely classy. And now he's going to go to a team in Baltimore that can contend for the Super Bowl. And I think it's actually, when Baltimore was part of the mix, I never really considered them just because, as I said, I never think they make moves like this. They usually prioritize the draft or free agency, but they never go all out like this. And when it was announced he's going to Baltimore, I was like, maybe not as sexy as like the markets when it comes to Chicago or Dallas. But that's, for football's sake, that's a great move. That's an unbelievable move. And, I know things are changing there, but a year ago when the season started, every sports writer, every podcast, everybody was picking the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl. That was the hype team. And I don't know why. I thought everybody just thought it's going to be different this year. They got so close against the Buffalo Bills, and Mark Andrews dropped that 2-point conversion, that this is going to be the year where they actually are the cream of the crop when it comes to the AFC. And they took a step back, a major step back, going 8-9. They probably should have made that wild card game, have been AFC North champions, but the kicker missed, and John Harbaugh gets fired. So now it's where they don't want to have that happen again, and they need to close out games. I don't know what the number is, but as far as blown fourth quarter leads, they're at the top of the list because they lack the pass rush. And when you think about it, the Baltimore Ravens are known for defense. I mean, yes, Lamar Jackson is their franchise quarterback, the best quarterback they've ever had. And I know Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl, but when I think of the Baltimore Ravens, I think defense. And despite all of their great defenses over the years, they have lacked pass rush. Honestly, you can make the case Maxx Crosby is their best pass rusher since Terrell Suggs. I was just going to say, Terrell Suggs is probably number 1, so Maxx Crosby is already above that level, in my opinion. So he's the greatest pass rusher. I just think he does more than Terrell Suggs does. Yeah. And, maybe a little unfair. There's more passing that happens in this league now, so Max gets more opportunities just to pin his ears back. But he's either number 1 or number 1B in terms of the greatest pass rusher to ever play for Baltimore now. Yeah, I mean, you go back in their history as far as like pass rushers, we know them with linebackers. Obviously, Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs was an outside linebacker. But, yeah, when it comes to greatest pass rushers in Ravens history, it's Terrell Suggs. And then you can make the argument maybe that Elvis Dumervil or Zadarius Smith or Matt Judon have been good pass rushers since that time. But Maxx Crosby's better than all those guys, in my opinion. And they have tried to go after pass rushers in the draft. Whether it was, I'm just writing some of the names down here. I wrote some of the names down here. Jalen Ferguson, Adofe Owe, who's going to be a free agent and got traded to the Chargers. And he had his best season with the Chargers a year ago. So it was too late with his Baltimore career. David Ajobu, they drafted a couple years ago. They've tried to hit on pass rush, and none of these guys have panned out. And they need to get out of the business of, they always did this. We'll go out and sign a really old veteran pass rusher, and they'll ball for us, whether it's Kyle Van Noy or Justin Houston or Jason Pierre-Paul. And those guys are good, but you need a consistent pass rusher that's going to be there for a long time. And Maxx Crosby's only 29 years old. You don't have to worry about, every training camp. Do you have enough pass rush? Okay, let's go to the well and let's find, some veteran who can just, pass, go rush the quarterback on third down. Now you're investing in that. And it's crazy in the last calendar year. Teams that usually don't make moves like this, the Green Bay Packers, the Indianapolis Colts, now the Baltimore Ravens, have traded for a player, and they were willing to give up 2 first-round picks. Green Bay Packers with Micah Parsons, the Colts crazily with Sauce Gardner. I still don't understand that one. And the Baltimore Ravens with Maxx Crosby. And it shows that some of these GMs, they're going to be conservative for the most part, but when it's time to get a generational player, they know that, okay, if we're going to get this type of guy, then we understand we need to give up this draft capital. So kudos to Eric DeCosta and the Ravens. A lot of changes this offseason, but when the AFC was down this year, they're going all in when they know the Chiefs and Bills are going to be back in play.
I think back to your point real quick about, these teams that are generally conservative, but when they see a generational player or like a future Hall of Fame kind of guy as someone that can put them over the hill and onto the mountaintop there, they're gonna go for it. And I really think that, and people go, wow, 2 first-round picks. I still look back at the Rams. They're the ones who really set this trend, I would say, in the NFL when they went out and got Stafford.
Yeah.
And I know that's a little different because he's a quarterback, but it's a very similar situation, right? You have a guy who everybody agrees is a Hall of Fame talent. He was on a horrible team and a horrible franchise in Detroit. And it's the same. I know it's a pass rusher with Maxx Crosby, but it's the same exact situation. So when you have a chance to go get someone like that can put you over and get you to the, where you want to be, Super Bowl champion, I think, you should applaud those GMs, not you particularly, Derek, because I know you do, but people should applaud those GMs instead of saying, well, what about the picks? What about this? What about that? It's like, a pick is potential, but if you're already a competitive and a good team and you have a chance to get a known quantity and that known quantity is probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame, you go do it. You just do it. You worry about the consequences later.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely got a more crazier trades in the last 5 years, in my opinion, where you usually didn't see if guys were unhappy. Like how many America's games have we watched where Doug Williams or Jeff George, or sorry, not Jeff George, Jeff Hostetler, or Phil Simms, or any of these guys, like they tell these stories about, I went to go talk to the general manager and the head coach, and I'm like, I want out of here. And they're like, okay, well, good, we'll do that then. And then they waited 3 or 4 years, and then finally they got their opportunity someplace else. Like, teams are caving now. There's more social media. There's more platforms for players to voice their displeasure and get out. And I'm glad Maxx Crosby didn't have to resort to that. But yeah, dude, it started really with Khalil Mack, where he was traded for 2 first-round picks. And, that's where the league really saw value in the picks. Like, Adam Schefter sent out this tweet, and we're talking about, the GMs that have been historically conservative when it comes to big-time trades like this. But back in the day, 2 first-round picks were going away just willy-nilly. Like, in recent years, because of how many guys are traded, we put more value in the picks. Like, when Khalil Mack was traded, my initial reaction was, that's it? We didn't get Roquan Smith or Leonard Floyd back in return. We didn't get players. And since that time, we've seen more trades like that where really GMs value the young talent. They want guys that are fresh. If you give me a veteran player, that's great, but how long are they going to play for me? Where Khalil Mack's going to have a long career with the Chicago Bears, I want the same thing with the Oakland Raiders. And, we've seen crazy trades since then. Like Jamal Adams went for 2 first-round picks. That was insane. That should have never been the case. The Sauce Gardner trade, we'll see if that pays dividends for the Indianapolis Colts, where Chris Ballard never does moves like that. But 2 first-round picks for a corner, I would have never done that. Like, if people are hesitant about Maxx Crosby getting 2 first-round picks, I would have never traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. I would have traded a first-round pick and maybe, a third or a fourth after that. But 2, that's insane. But you look in the history of players that have fetched at least 2 first-round picks. Adam Schefter went through the history here. Herschel Walker. Now, that was a big-time move back in the day. That's the one that everybody references, where during the season, the Dallas Cowboys traded him away to the Minnesota Vikings, and that's how they were able to start their dynasty. Eric Dickerson.
Yep.
That made a lot of sense back in the day, too. He wanted a new contract and went to the Colts. Jeff George, who I mistakenly mentioned earlier, but he got traded. I want to say he went when he got drafted by the Colts, he got traded to the Falcons for 2 first-round picks. So it was kind of nuts. He only played 1 season and then garnered that much draft compensation. Keyshawn Johnson. Think about that.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Johnson went for 2 first-round picks. Went from the Jets, where he wrote a book saying, give me the damn ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got traded to the Buccaneers. And he had moments, but he was not worth 2 first-round picks. I did not realize this. Ricky Williams, from the Saints to the Dolphins.
From the Saints to the Dolphins. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
He was traded for 2 first-round picks, which sounds insane today. You would never do that. Jay Cutler, quarterback. Today that would be a lot more compensation. But going from the Denver Broncos to the Chicago Bears. That made sense. Since that time, we've seen Jalen Ramsey, makes sense to me. Khalil Mack, yes. Jamal Adams, absolutely not. Laramie Tunsil, yes. Matthew Stafford, yes. Russell Wilson, yes, he's a quarterback. And then Micah Parsons, Sauce Gardner, Maxx Crosby. But back in the day, teams are just trading away draft capital like it was candy. And now I think more GMs are hung up on that. That's why you saw so many teams be like, I don't want to give 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. But one team in particular was willing to do that.
Yeah, I think it's the team. It takes 2 to tango, right? You need a team that really needs that draft capital because they're trying to either rebuild, retool, or build from the ground up like the Raiders are. And then you need that team that is just firmly convinced that they are maybe 1 or 2 pieces away from seriously winning the Super Bowl. So I think when you get those 2 things together, you have a match made in heaven. I mean, this is very similar to Detroit and LA because, like I already mentioned, Detroit was a team that needed to build from the ground up, and, being able to trade Matthew Stafford sucks. He's best quarterback, that they've had since Bobby Lane or something like that. So, I mean, that's going back, 80 years or whatever. So, you need both partners to be able to see that value. One's got to see it in the picks and the other's got to see it in the player. I think that's what we saw here with Maxx Crosby, but that's interesting, that list. And what's also interesting is I wonder if that is going to be solely dominated soon. Like if next time we see this, if it's just regularly going to be and we're already seeing that trend, pass rusher, quarterback. That's it. Like if we're not going to see this with wide receivers, I don't think we're not going to see the fact that Gardner, right? I mean, I think cornerback is the most important defensive position on the field, but there aren't that many cornerbacks that warrant 2 first-round picks. There's just not. Historically, throughout the game, there's not. But
only Ramsey and Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, so this is quarterbacks and pass rushers, I guess. And if that's the way it's going to be, then these guys who get drafted, especially to some of these bad teams sometimes, it maybe every 4 years we're going to have to be on the lookout. Hey, could this guy be on the move for 2 first-round picks? I mean, because Micah Parsons, those guys just don't, fall out of the sky. They're not a dime a dozen. They're tough to find.
100%. And I'm with you, Alon. I think going forward with how much GMs value first-round picks, you're only going to see that for quarterbacks and pass rushers. That's it. Like we're seeing it right now, where A.J. Brown is the talk of, trade talk, and it sounds like it's not going to happen, but the Eagles want a first-round pick. They're not going to get 2 first-round picks for him, but teams value the young, cheap talent these days, where if you trade away 2 first-round picks for a guy that's going to be in his 30s, most GMs don't want to do that. So, I think it's going to be exclusively for quarterbacks and pass rushers going forward. As far as another trade that went down the day before Maxx Crosby got dealt, DJ Moore got traded to the Buffalo Bills. He goes there along with the 5th-round pick for a 2nd-round pick. So Buffalo gives up their 2026 2nd-round pick to get DJ Moore. And he had a career low last year when it came to receiving yards. He had the game-winning touchdown against the Green Bay Packers in that playoff game, but we kind of knew this was going to happen because DJ Moore, his contract this year, the Bears didn't feel like paying that. He's kind of the odd man out on that offense that has featured Luther Burden and Roma Dunze, Olamide Zaccheaus, other wide receivers in that scheme that fit more what Ben Johnson wants to do. So when I saw this move, a couple things. I thought that, okay, Josh Allen gets his number 1 guy, and they sorely need that because they definitely went cheap on wide receiver these last couple of years with giving Josh Allen that contract. And, that worked for the Patrick Mahomes, Chief Super Bowls. But for Josh Allen, he needs a number 1 wide receiver. Not to say that he's a lesser quarterback, but you saw it in that playoff game. Brandon Cooks was great, but not great enough to come down with that football. So now he gets a deep threat. Now he gets a very dynamic playmaker and a guy that thrived in Joe Brady's offense when he was offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. Could they add more there? Yes. I mean, more than more, I should say. Pun intended, I guess. He's a good deep threat. I just don't know about the physicality and the separation. Like when I saw the move, my thought was, well, that means Mike Evans is not going to go there. And I thought that was going to be slam dunk, perfect move for not only Mike Evans, but the Buffalo Bills, older player. So DJ Moore is going to be with your team for longer, but I don't know about, him being that big time physical receiver. So we'll go through all the butterfly effect of DJ Moore going to the Bills, but your thoughts on the trade, Alon?
It's a great trade for the Bills. They're finally getting, because after Josh Allen, like you said, all the money he's getting, they're getting him a legit number one. And I hear you. Maybe he's not that big, but he's only 6 foot, and he had 50 receptions last season, like you said, with the Bears, and the rookie tight end,
Colson Loveland.
Loveland had like 80. So, I mean, he definitely wasn't being utilized the way that he wanted to be, and maybe just didn't fit in that system there. But I think it's really good for the Bills. This is not a Band-Aid in the way that like an Amari Cooper was. This is better than like a Diggs or things like that. This is a guy who's going to be with you for a while. What I wonder is kind of what they can do, because they're going to need more than one. I definitely think that. So, yeah, Mike Evans, it's probably not happening now, but boy, that would make a whole lot of sense. There's your big receiver right there, 6'5", and it doesn't really matter if he slows down a little bit speed-wise. He's just going to get open like he has his entire career, but that's probably not an option now. But I think it's great for the Bills. The Bills, I feel so bad for them sometimes. They've tried everything to get to the top of the mountain, and they haven't been able to do it yet. So here's another move, new coach, guy that the coach is familiar with, very good productive receiver. So we'll see how it works out. But on paper, I think it's a phenomenal move for the Bills.
And there's no more excuses for the Bills, because now Josh Allen has that guy. I think Josh Palmer is still a pretty good wide receiver as your chain mover, your first down guy, getting volume catches. Khalil Shakir is a really good slot guy. You still can use Keon Coleman on this team. Just because Terry Pagola in a press conference called him out doesn't mean they have to move on from him. They have other guys. Shavers, I think they have, is one of their wide receivers that flashed at times. Their 2 tight ends in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are not bad. So they got playmakers now. So I don't want to hear excuses from, the big thing we do with Josh Allen. We all love Josh Allen, but a lot of people that want to defend Josh Allen, and I'm guilty of this, say like, well, he's not playing with anybody. We can't use that excuse anymore. He's got receivers, and now he's got. Before I thought, well, maybe he doesn't have a great coach. Maybe he needs more of a offensive-minded coach to help him out. And now he has that guy in Joe Brady. So the biggest thing to me is, yes, they got the guy, but there's really no more excuses. Where Baltimore finally got their guy with a pass rush with Maxx Crosby, the Bills finally got their guy with a wide receiver. And when you see the compensation that DJ Moore went for, and that rhymes, it's a second-round pick. And DJ Moore is younger, I believe, than A.J. Brown. Let me confirm that a little bit here. I believe he is. But if DJ Moore's going for a second-round pick with a down year, then yeah, A.J. Brown should go for a first-round pick. And right now, just as far as the butterfly effect, when I saw DJ Moore go to the Bills, my reaction to Mike Evans was, okay, well, now he's going to have options. And a lot of people thought that it was a foregone conclusion. He was going to go back to the Buccaneers because why not just finish your career with them? But he is going to test the market tomorrow. For the first time in his career, I think before it was always signing long-term extensions, or even last year, I want to say, or 2 years ago, he signed right before free agency started. It'll be interesting to see what he gets. And the teams that were interested were the Buffalo Bills. Are the Bills trying to splurge this offseason and go load up on wide receivers? I think they got plenty now. But if they want Mike Evans just to have that, that red zone threat, then I think Keon Coleman still could be that guy at a younger age. But the teams that were listed with Mike Evans were the Bills, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the 49ers.
I was just going to say the Niners got to go. They don't have to go all in on Mike Evans, but they really should. A 6'5" receiver to replace a 6'3" receiver would be very, very good for San Francisco. And I think Brock Purdy would love to have a touchdown machine like that on his team.
No, absolutely. And I think that increases their chances. I just think about how they're going to use him. And yes, he would be the number one wide receiver, but he is older. He would be, the biggest deep threat they've had in years, a physical wide receiver, a good red zone threat. His criteria for the next team he plays for was obviously a good quarterback, a good play caller. So, Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy meet those needs. Opportunity to get high, be the focus of the offense, high volume catches. And I don't know if I said this on the last podcast or not, but I don't think that's going to be the case with Mike Evans with the 49ers, where, yes, there'll be games where that happens, but for the majority of the time, Kyle likes to play chess with defenses, and it may be where Mike Evans is not going to eat today. We know the guy that always gets the touches is going to be Christian McCaffrey, but it changes week to week in Kyle's scheme. So that's the one thing where I'm like, is Mike going to cash in on the possibility of a big payday more than what the Buccaneers want to give him, and a team that's going to feature him a lot more? And right now, I guess I would say that team would be the Chargers, but even them, I'm like, I don't know if I think Mike Evans is better than Keenan Allen at this point, but it's kind of similar where it's an aging veteran, and he could definitely give you more there as far as a deep threat. But I don't even know if the Chargers would go all out for Mike Evans. So now I'm just trying to find a spot for him because I really thought for weeks now Mike Evans was going to go to Buffalo.
I mean, the Chargers did finally unleash Justin Herbert under Harbaugh's tenure now in I almost said San Diego, in Los Angeles. So, maybe they could use him. But I keep thinking about the Niners with someone like Mike Evans because I'm like, I get it. I get that Christian McCaffrey is going to be the majority of the touches. The offense runs through him. Brock Purdy's a great trigger man, can do a lot of things as a quarterback. But you can't tell me that a coach who's as good as Kyle Shanahan doesn't just look at a guy like Mike Evans and go, okay, so you know what? I want to just have this guy be my touchdown poacher in the red zone. Why can't you just have that there? So that's my opinion. I don't know.
No,
to me, it seems like he's just too good at scoring touchdowns not to sign. I mean, you've tried everything else. Why not try this?
I'm with you. And I think it would be crazy for Kyle to, I think the Niners would be in on Mike Evans for a certain price. I just wonder if Mike Evans would want to be. And yes, he would do great at that offense, but is it going to be consistent every week? But then again, at this point in his career, is he going to get featured like that? Probably not. But I heard Richard Sherman on his podcast say the same thing where it's like, I don't know if Kyle would feature Mike Evans the same way that Mike Evans views himself. He probably would be, honestly, the most physically dominating wide receiver he's had since Julio Jones, if he were to sign with the Niners. But yeah, I don't. Rocking new era here. 52 minutes in and still no engagement. I'm going to watch the WBC game. Check you guys on Tuesday. Ouch. Sorry.
Sorry, Rockin. I just signed into YouTube, by the way, so I could see these comments. But okay, yeah, there's quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think Mike Evans is a good fit anywhere he goes. But I think the Niners, it would be very smart if they tried to get someone who can just score like that.
No, I'm with you. And sorry, Rockin. I mean, there'll be days where we engage more in the chat. I apologize, but we're just going through all the news right now. So I could go through and see what you said here, and I could respond to it. But ouch. Anyway, maybe I'll take away that Opiner of the Year award. How about that? Huh?
No, don't do that.
No,
Derek.
I want to do
nice.
that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And honestly, WBC games, we're gonna react to that when they actually what was it, the group stage right now?
Yeah, it's in group play right now. It's just United States and Dominican Republic and Japan dominating everybody.
Yep. But no, we'll definitely talk about that as we got a couple more weeks of that. So when the games get interesting, we'll talk about WBC. But today we're talking about the frenzy. Sorry. As far as AJ Brown. Yeah, if DJ Moore is going for a second-round pick, then A.J. Brown should go for a first-round pick. And I'm still looking up if A.J. Brown's younger than DJ Moore. Probably is. But the latest with that is that multiple reports say that the Eagles want a first and a second for A.J. Brown. And I'm like, that's a little steep for a wide receiver. But if you're the Patriots and you're willing to do that, then by all means. Because you saw what you did in the Super Bowl. You need to get better at wide receiver. And you moved on from Stephon Diggs, and that might be a whole thing with his legal issues, but you need to get better at wide receiver. Mike Garafolo, at one point in time, believed that this trade will happen, but if it's going to happen, it needs to happen tonight or tomorrow before free agency starts. Josina Anderson also reported that the Patriots don't want to give up a first-round pick, but they're willing to give up other receivers or lower picks. I just watched the Insider Show before we hopped on here, and Ian Rappaport and everybody was talking about this deal. The truth is, Howie Roseman does not want to trade A.J. Brown. and he's not really serious about it. He's listening to what people are willing to give him. But the truth is, the cap hit that they would absorb by trading AJ Brown would just be too much for them when they're trying to sign back guys. Like they just, they signed Jordan Davis back yesterday, but they're trying to sign back Jalen Carter, and there's rumors with him being traded. I highly doubt that. They're trying to sign Jalen Phillips by tomorrow when he hits free agency. So at one point, Mike Garafolo said Howie Roseman's actually calling GM saying, okay, look, could we do half of the trade now and half of the trade later in June so we don't take the cap in? And everybody's like, no, that's not a thing. What the hell are you talking about? So they can't trade him right now. They're going to screw their cap too much, where this is always annoying, where this is why the frenzy spaces out. It's not just March. It goes into April. It goes into May. It goes into June, especially with these post-June 1st designations.
Yep.
Like last year, Jalen Ramsey gets traded after that. It always happens. Like we're in the dead time of, sports where we're focused on just baseball, and then out of nowhere, boom, someone gets traded because there's a stipulation in their contract. That's what I think's happening here, where we'll hear a lot of stuff with A.J. Brown, but he won't get traded by tomorrow. It won't get traded by the draft. If it's ever going to happen, it's going to be in June. So, yeah, that's where this thing is headed right now, and that's where another ripple effect is going to be where the Patriots go as far as receiver tomorrow. But, yeah, I think that this A.J. Brown deal sounds like it's done for right now.
Yeah. Howie Roseman seems to do everything correct. I've sung his praises before on this podcast, and I it's so weird to me. The Eagles are one of those situations where it's like they've had this really good run of success now during this Jalen Hurts tenure, really, and it just seems like, oh, we'll add a piece here. I don't get the whole AJ Brown saga, and I know that we had during the playoffs, we had AJ Brown going at it with Sirianni and all these kinds of things. I just don't get it. You're in a good situation. Maybe the offense was not creative or good at all this past season, and it wasn't up to your liking, but just, maybe if you want to go play with Drake May and the Patriots, fine, but I still don't understand that situation. I don't understand why people aren't just clamoring to play with the Eagles and staying there.
No, I'm with you. I think that he's frustrated with Jalen Hurts. We went through it last time, but it sounds like this new offense they're going to run with Sean Mannion is going to focus more on Devontae Smith. And I thought if they traded A.J. Brown that they could pivot and go sign Mike Evans. I think that'd be not bad for a little bit of time, maybe a season or two. Brian Thomas Jr., there's rumors about him getting dealt by the Jacksonville Jaguars because he doesn't fit in that scheme with Liam Cohen. Could that be a move where they get younger at that position and cheaper at that position? But it sounds like, why would you trade away A.J. Brown? And the Eagles are just asking way too much. And now the Patriots can pivot and go to somebody like Alec Pierce, who, in my opinion, has the most potential on the free agent market. And I know some people are like, is he worth $26-28 million a year? Probably not. He hasn't accomplished that much in his career yet. But when you have a career year, you go for over 1,000 yards and a few touchdowns, and you flash on Monday Night Football against the 49ers with Phillip Rivers throwing you the ball, then yeah, someone's going to go out and overpay for you. And that's going to be a lot of teams, whether it's the Chargers, the Raiders, the Niners, the Patriots. He's going to be sought after. And this wide receiver market is pretty interesting when it comes to others like Romeo Dobbs or Jawan Jennings, or who's some other names out there? Wan'Dale Robinson. So
from the Giants.
Yes.
Yeah. And Rashid Shaheed, who's going to get that bump because not just he's so speedy, but also, hey, winning a Super Bowl doesn't hurt either.
No, it does not. So I want to look at some of the options for the 49ers and Raiders in free agency, and we'll go through some names, but honestly, I think they're looking at the same guys when it comes to wide receivers. But Alon, let's just start with the Raiders here first. Who are some of your ideal pickups this offseason when it comes to the Raiders?
Oh, well, I mean, I think you got to have something worked out on the offensive line. I think they for sure either need, if you're going to have Jackson Powers-Johnson play center, then you have him play center. You're going to have to fill the guard spot. If you're not, you got to go find a center. So, I mean, there's Linderbaum out there. I'm not too, in depth on the center market. McGovern, I know, just re-signed with the Bills. So he, that's not happening. I guess Joel Bitonio, if you want a veteran guard, you could bring him in from Cleveland. Cade Mays from Carolina. But I think you have to start on the offensive line. As far as the skill position players go, I would say Rashid Shaheed would be a good one. Number one, because of familiarity with Kubiak's offense. And number two, he's still relatively young.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Do you think that would get redundant? I think that's a perfect move given the offense. But do you think that would get redundant with Trey Tucker there?
I've thought about that as well. I think that if Clint Kubiak plans on, it all depends on how well Trey Tucker can adapt to this. If he can, then they don't need to get a guy like Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
But if he can't, then you have to replace him with your kind of guy who can fit that role. So it would be redundant though if they both work well in the system, and we know one of them definitely does. And if the other one does too, then you have two kind of Tyreek Hill, type guys like that. Then yeah, it's a little much. But then again, if Jack Besh can play, that's kind of your possession guy. You also have another field stretcher who's also 6'5" and Dante Thornton. So I think with wide receiver, you're either looking at one of two things. You're looking at just a pure field stretcher like a Rashid Shaheed, because you're going to replace a guy like Trey Tucker, or you're going to try to find maybe someone who's a bit of an older veteran, but like, do you really want to go, you're not going to go after Stephon Diggs. That's not happening.
No.
Maybe you could get a guy like Jawan Jennings, but that's going to be awfully hard to get him to come to Las Vegas with a rookie quarterback after he's had all the success in San Francisco too. So I don't know. And then, other guys like Deebo Samuel, I don't think he really does it for the Raiders either. So I think it's tough. I actually think the wide receiver market is nicer to them in the draft than it might be in free agency.
See, I'm flipped on the offensive lineman, where it's just a lot of older guys, Joe Petunio and other guys available. Yes, but I kind of think you need to go young when it comes to offensive linemen. And maybe you want more experienced guys to protect Fernando Mendoza, but I think there's more value in addressing the offensive line needs in the draft, and the skill position guys. I think that they're good. All these guys would be great for the Raiders. They're in desperate need of a wide receiver one right now. Where yes, you're hoping that Jack Besh and Dante Thornton come into their own this league, but it's kind of the same deal with the Niners and Jacob Cowing, or who are the other guys? Jordan Watkins. Like all these guys that have potential but have not flashed yet. So for me, I'm looking at all the wide receivers. The Raiders have the most cash of anybody in free agency. Now that they got Maxx Crosby off the books, they got over $100 million in cap space. So by all means, throw money at Alec Pierce. And you mentioned Jawan Jennings. Throw money at him too. I know that the losing may piss him off, but it's a similar scheme. Kubiak knows him from the 49er days. I would bring in Jawan Jennings just to be that veteran presence and that chain mover that the Raiders sorely need. Romeo Doubs, I think, would be great with the Raiders. Similar scheme with, everybody uses the same scheme, the Shanahan family or the LaFleur family or the Kubiak family. So I think it's an easy transition. Alec Pierce would be fantastic with the Raiders. Rashid Shaheed, I'm with you, Alon. I just think that if Kubiak sees the same thing with Trey Tucker, then I don't know. And I think Rashid Shaheed, honestly, would be great with the Chargers, playing in a dome, serving that Mike McDaniel, Tyreek Hill role, where right now they have a lot of solid receivers, but anybody that stands out. And if you're going to bring somebody in for the Chargers, it needs somebody that's going to be like a deep threat, like a guy that gets Justin Herbert to throw the go ball. And right now, yes, they have Quentin Johnston, who's inconsistent, can be that guy at times. And, they got that rookie Trey Harris and Ladd McConkey, who's more of their first down maker. But if you're looking for the big play, the deep ball, I think Rashid Shaheed is great with the Chargers there. I think the Raiders need to spend a lot of money in free agency. And they can have their pick of wide receiver. And I would look at Tariq Woolen as well. given the familiarity with Kubiak with the Seahawks. He's available. But the truth is the Raiders and 49ers will be looking at the same type of guys.
Yeah.
You know, you look at who the Niners could go after, same guys. Romeo Doubs. Jalen Naylor is a name that's been attached to the 49ers. Tariq Woolen would make sense with the Niners too. As far as Naylor, like his name's been brought up with like Matt Barrows and Vic Tafer, as far as, or I believe it's actually Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler with him. But a guy that hasn't flashed a ton with the Vikings, but the Niners do this stuff where it's more calculated moves, smarter moves, where it's lesser money, but guys that could get more opportunities that they were having elsewhere. So yeah, when it comes to the Niners, I've heard the most, the name that's been attached to them the most has been Romeo Doubs. And I like Romeo Doubs a lot. I think he would be better with the Raiders just as far as like that true number one, where if he goes to the Niners, yes, he would be the number one wide receiver. And he's been honestly, the most reliable wide receiver that Jordan Love has had, as far as just a guy with good hands, getting you first downs, getting you touchdowns. But he had a down year this year, and he had some injuries. Concussions have been an issue. He wears that Guardian cap. It looks like the Great Kazoo for him. But if you're looking at Romeo Doubs as like your number one, I feel like Ricky Pearsall was supposed to be that guy for you. Like as far as like the same skill set, and it's different. Like I think Ricky Pearsall has more potential as far as like big plays going down the field, but Romeo Doubs is a guy that gets separation and gets you first downs. So he'd be great with Buffalo. But like as far as like the true number one for the Niners, I think they need like a different skill set. I think they need a guy that could go deep and, you know, that Jackson Smith and Jigba effect, the guy that goes 50 yards down the field, beating your corners, the big play ball, the home run ball for Brock Purdy, where I don't think they need to overpay for a guy like Romeo Doubs to be their true number one wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't think they need to overpay. This is kind of the what is it? It's a good thing, but also kind of a bad thing for the Niners. Kyle Shanahan, we know that he can make a lot happen when the parts are not maybe, you know, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Kyle Shanahan can scheme points for that team, but they do need someone, unless Ricky Pearsall is able to, you know, really develop and become that guy. They do need someone to be that guy. Romeo Doubs would be really interesting. Great receiver over the middle, can run good out routes, can do all these things. I got to watch him in college when he was at Nevada. He's just really good. He's still really young too. And imagine what he could do in not cold weather situations like in Santa Clara. So that'd be really interesting. Naylor, same kind of thing. Very good receiver over the middle of the field. I could see that happening. I don't know. I really think though, and I mentioned it earlier, I really think they ought to go after a guy who's just a touchdown machine in the red zone, because I think other guys can help them move the ball down the field. I think what they need to do is just become absolutely lethal outside of McCaffrey in the red zone. That's just my opinion.
I hear you. You're right. They do need a touchdown maker, and Romeo Doubs could be that guy.
He could.
He definitely could. And yes, you're right about that, Alon, where they do need more guys to be options in the red zone there. So you know what? That maybe that's why Romeo Doubs is being looked at. He definitely fills that void. But yeah, I just think that he would be, I'm not saying like I want him more on the Raiders, but I think like that the Raiders need him more just because they need a true wide receiver. Like they need anybody a wide receiver at this point. Where the Niners, they still could have guys come into their own, where Ricky Pearsall, I still think, can play in this league. He definitely can. It's just a matter of being healthy and being on the field. And this last year was disappointing on many levels. Just as far as, well, not many levels, but just the fact that he was not healthy. He had that knee injury and wasn't put on IR, and I think the team was expecting him back at certain points, but was not the case. So this is a make or break year for Ricky Pearsall. But I thought, if you're asking me between Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs for the Niners, I want Alec Pierce. Yeah. I think Alec Pierce has that more big play potential and can still be that chain mover, that first down maker, the stuff that Romeo Doubs does, but he has more big play potential. So if you're willing to, you know, throw out cash at a high level, I think the 49ers should be all in on Alec Pierce. But if it's too rich for your blood, I get that too. And I think that Romeo Doubs wouldn't be a bad option, but I don't know if it's going to get you what you anticipate with being a more explosive offense. You could be more lethal in the red zone, which I think when you look at Kyle Shanahan's offense, maybe that's all you need. Maybe you don't need to go stretch the field. Maybe you could dink and dunk your way and then not have to settle for Eddie Pinheiro field goals all the time. So now if you can find a guy that can get you a touchdown in the left corner of the end zone, then maybe that's all you need from Romeo Doubs.
Alec Pierce could be that guy too. He could actually fit multiple roles. I know he's a great field stretcher, but he does have the height as well. It's about 6'3", and he can get on top of cornerbacks, over the top of safeties, all that kind of stuff. And with that height, he could potentially be a red zone target. But yeah, Romeo Doubs, you can really see that kind of precise route running, and he's still big and physical enough to win those kind of corner routes in the end zone as well. I think both would be really good fits. I see what you're saying, though, Derek. Yeah, Pierce would be interesting. My biggest concern with Pierce would be how often are they going to run him deep? And Dom, how are you doing? That would be my biggest
Dom
concern.
Peralta?
How often in that offense are they going to run him deep to really clear the field out? And and eventually you can't just use him as a clear out machine. You're going to have to throw the ball over the top to him. So if they're able to figure that out, which I'm sure Kyle Shanahan can, then I think that'd be a really good pickup. But yeah, I think they can go one of two ways, Derek. They either can go for that touchdown machine kind of red zone target guy, or maybe they could fill both those needs, maybe not both in an elite manner, but fill both of the needs well enough with a guy like Pierce. So we'll see. I would throw this out to the chat. If you guys have a preference, what free agent wide receiver would you want to see with the Niners? Because Derek and I have our thoughts, but we that's just our opinion, man.
No, I mean, I think Rockin left too soon where, if you have ideas when it comes to free agency, throw it in the chat and I'll definitely acknowledge them. Rockin just wants to hear WBC talk. And I'm like, we're not doing that tonight.
Not even out of group play yet. Come on.
I know. Simmer down now, Rockin. Simmer down. Yeah, come on. Go buy a hat. All right.
I get it.
He loves them. Real quick, as far as offensive linemen for the Raiders in free agency, Alon, there's one name I like they're all older guys. James Daniels, who was a guard from the Miami Dolphins, not a bad player. There's also Evan Neal, who you know from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really panned out in the NFL. He was a big-time prospect, and everybody looked at that photo of him being super skinny, but just, a behemoth when it came to his size when he was great in college, but has not transitioned very well to the NFL. Is that a guy you would look at as far as just potential and going with a younger guy at offensive line, or can they not take a risk there when it comes to their offensive line?
Maybe as a depth piece, but I just don't think that they're in the position to take a risk there. So, I mean, one of the things, if they do draft Mendoza, I will say it's one of the knocks on Mendoza. He holds the ball a long time. He does. And he has the potential to get sacked from the blind side. I saw him do that quite a few times during the season. Now he has the grit and toughness to make things happen, and he does trust his legs maybe a little too much sometimes, but they're going to need to really shore up the protection. But I think most of the protection issues, like you're saying, Derek, we're talking about interior offensive linemen right now. I think they are on the interior with that team, with the Raiders. I think you could, take a guy like Neal as a depth piece and see if you got something there. But I think you need to be a little more sure. If you can find a younger guy who can also come in and be a really good pass blocker and do well in multiple types of run schemes, that'd be really good. One of the guys I have my eye on, and I'm sure the Chargers will re-sign him, but it would be Zion Johnson because he's only 26 or 27, and he's damn good. He had almost a 91% win rate when it came to pass blocking during his years with the Chargers. And like I said, he's still in his mid-20s. So what's not to like? And you take away a potential strength from a division opponent and you add to yourself. I think that's always a good move. I mentioned Bitonio earlier. That's an older player. At 34. So how much does he really have left? Maybe 2 years. That's kind of a Richie Incognito style move.
Yeah.
So you're just looking for some veteran leadership there. But if you can find a guy who's young and then has also proven that he can play, I think that's not bad. I like Ed Ingram, maybe from Houston. That's another good interior offensive lineman. I think they're going to try to find a guy who maybe isn't the sexy, offensive line pick, but is young and can stay with the team for 3 to 4 years.
So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see because I think the Raiders and 49ers are going to be after the same guys when it comes to wide receiver. And Don Peralta in the chat here says, Romeo Doubs probably the best option out there to fit their needs, won't break bank, trustworthy target for Brock. I agree. If you're looking for a big-time playmaker, he's not that guy, but if you want like a reliable wide receiver to get you first downs, he wouldn't be a bad option there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to the frenzy tomorrow for the Raiders and the 49ers. Just going around some news that happened in the NFL, stuff we haven't hit on yet. Rashad Gary could be on the move from the Green Bay Packers. He sent out a social media post saying his goodbyes, but then deleted it really quickly. Or not that quickly, where every insider saw that he posted it and then come to find out he took it away. He's due $18 million this year, and I got to believe that the Packers would just not straight up cut him. Like, he's a pretty good player in this league. He got drafted in that 2019 class and, flashed at times. The pass rush wasn't there after Micah Parsons went down with the ACL tear, but I thought that, having him and Micah Parsons, it definitely, it definitely gave opportunities for Rashawn Gary to get after the quarterback with Parsons there. So if you're willing to bite the bullet financially, I thought they should have kept him if they still are. This is why it's a little confusing where we haven't got reports that he's been cut or going to be traded. It's just coming from him. So I wonder if that's legitimate, or he said he got hacked, so I don't really know what's going on with the social media post. But if he is available, yeah, I think the Green Bay Packers should trade him, not cut him. And I get it. They drafted Lucas Van Ness a couple years ago, so they need him at a cheaper option, I should say, to start, playing well for them. But if Rashawn Gary's available, I think a lot of teams will go after him.
I think so too. I think a lot of teams with defensive end needs would definitely go after him. It could be the Raiders. I don't think he makes sense for the Raiders right now. He's a great number 2, though. Could fit in nicely with the Niners. I don't know. He could end up with the Bengals, maybe. I mean, that might kind of be interesting, right?
Bengals, yeah.
I mean, and depending on, eventually what happens with Trey Hendrickson. But
yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, Gary could be kind of a consolation prize over there in Cincinnati. But yeah, it doesn't make a whole – I'm pretty sure the Green Bay Packers have enough cap space to re-sign him again, sign an extension or make him happy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they wouldn't want to keep him. And do you just want to have Micah, one guy, and I know you said Van Ness, but that's going to be Micah's going to get the Maxx Crosby treatment without a stable of guys on the other side from him.
Well, we're seeing that effect across football where you can't have, if one guy's making buku bucks as far as your pass rusher, it's hard to get the other guy money too. And that's what's going to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles, where both of their star defensive tackles in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are going to get paid. And that happened yesterday when Jordan Davis signed a 3-year deal worth $26 million a year, $60 million guaranteed. So right now, he's making Milton Williams money as far as nose tackles, one of the best. Like Chris Jones makes the most money annually, but Jordan Davis, wow, if he's making 26, then that means Jalen Carter is going to make a ton of money. And I know Jeremy Fowler threw out there that teams have been calling the Eagles about Jalen Carter. They're not going to trade him. Like, I'm sorry, like to pull the plug on this guy so quickly in his career. I know he didn't play a lot of games a year ago. Played 11 games, but got injured down the stretch. No, you're not trading away that guy. I don't see that happening. I think that the Eagles, that's why they're trying to, that's why they're justifying a A.J. Brown trade to get that money off the books. They're trying to sign back Jalen Phillips. They're trying to get back Jalen Carter. Yeah, I don't see Jalen Carter getting traded. I don't.
No, and one real quick thing. There's a good crop of guys who can play like D tackle / nose guard in this draft, so they got to be very happy. Going, ooh, man, I guess the interior defensive lineman market is really heating up with how much we're going to get paid. I mean, you got guys like Caleb Banks, who's going to come out of Florida. He could be possibly a replacement for guys like that if they're not able to be re-signed on their respective teams. You also got Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. You got McDonald from Ohio State, who I think is a really good player. But no, back to Philadelphia real quick. They're in that situation where they've drafted all these guys and they got to try to keep them because they know that's what makes their defense elite. So whatever they need to do to do that, they're going to figure it out. And that actually makes a lot of sense. Getting rid of the Brown contract off the books helps you keep some of those other guys there instead. But back to the Rashawn Gary thing. I have a question because we started talking about Rashawn Gary. What do you think about a guy for the Seattle Seahawks?
Boye Mafe?
Boye Mafe. Yeah. So Boye Mafe, who, had a pretty darn good season. Seems like I don't know if can be the number one pass rusher on a team, but he can definitely be like the number two guy, the chase down guy. What do you think about him? I mean, do you think he goes out and gets big money? Is he kind of an overpaid candidate this season at a prime position?
He only had 2 sacks a season ago, and I think that the market will say he should get a ton of money because he was on a Super Bowl winning team with that defense. I think he's going to leave, and I think that John Schneider's okay with that. I think that the Seahawks defense is unique, where one guy in particular doesn't need to be, the Maxx Crosby type. Like they all kind of eat. That defensive line with Byron Murphy, and who else is on that defensive line?
Very helpful to have a guy like Jerron Reed.
Yeah, Jerron Reed, and is he still on the team? Jerron Reed?
Yeah.
Who's the guy opposite though? I'm blanking on his name. Leonard Williams, Big Cat.
Oh yeah, Leonard Williams. Yep.
I mean, those two guys, they eat up. They eat up the pass blocking there, and the run blocking as well. But when you have those guys and you have DeMarcus Lawrence, I think he's coming back for another season with the Seahawks. They don't really need like their name was in Maxx Crosby conversations, but I never thought it was legitimate. Where all their guys get 7 to 8 sacks. So you don't need like a 15 sack type of guy. So they can easily let Boye Mafe walk in free agency. And I think like a team like the Patriots or the Commanders will pay a lot of money for him.
Well, it'll be interesting with the Patriots. You bring them up. It's like you got Boye Mafe out there. Why not just re-sign Kayvon Chason now that we found out he can play over the past 2 years after being
they might do that
off as a first round bust?
They might do that. I think that I think that's on the table, and I don't think he's going to get a big-time contract. But I think that with what he did a season ago, playing off of Harold Landry, I do think the Patriots could pay that guy, Kason, you're talking about. The pass rush department in free agency is going to be very interesting, where Trey Hendrickson's available. Khalil Mack's off the board, unfortunately. I thought that he was going to hit free agency for the first time in his career. I thought that maybe the Chargers would value Adofe Owe in free agency a lot more than Khalil, but Khalil's at the point in his career now where he's like, just give me a 1-year deal for $18 million, I'll come back. And the Chargers are a good football team, but I thought that maybe Khalil would go to Buffalo, where he played college football and maybe more of a chance to win a Super Bowl. But the Chargers did make the playoffs. It's just a matter of can they get over the hump. So cross Khalil Mack's names off the board. There's Jalen Phillips.
Yep.
Trey Hendrickson's fascinating to me. Where is he going to go to a contender? Is he want to get paid? We hear the Buccaneers. We hear the Bears. His familiarity with Dennis Allen back in the day with the Saints as the Bears defensive coordinator currently. Lou Anarumo, his old DC with the Colts. The Colts, though, you don't know if you're getting Alec Pierce back. Like signing back Daniel Jones, it sounds good because he was pretty good a season ago with 10 games. But then after that, it all went to shit. And you're going to need a backup quarterback to help him out. Like you probably have to sign like a Marcus Mariota as well. So that's the unknown to me. Where, that team was looking fantastic and should have won the AFC South if we're playing, 10 games in a regular season. But now with him coming off of that, if I'm Trey Hendrickson, I look at other options. And yes, that might be a good scheme fit and might be a good situation as far as money. But if I'm trying to win in these last few years of my career, I don't know if his market's going to be robust. I think some teams will offer him just like 2 years, 60. And if that's the case, like, do the Buffalo Bills make sense just to get more pass rush on that defensive line? Do the Bears make sense? His market's going to be the most fascinating thing, where he's been a great pass rusher in this league, but injuries have definitely, paid a toll this last season with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's also guys like Joey Bosa's out there. We're talking about the Indianapolis Colts, Kwity Paye. Like, he had a pretty decent season. I mean, there's a lot of the alpha in the room. The two alphas, one is now signed out of the defensive end position, right? And traded, and that's Maxx Crosby. Trey Hendrickson, we're going to see what happens there. Then you got a bunch of guys who have the ability to get somewhere between 7 and 10 sacks a season, I would say, who could be very, very good, like number twos if you have that elite, or if you have a really good interior pass rush, a guy who can feast off that. So I agree with you, Derek. I think it's an interesting pass rushing market. It's not like, it's not like a bunch of Maxx Crosbys out there, but you'll never have that. But that being said, it's a good one. There's definitely a lot of players out there that teams with an already established pass rusher can go out and get that second guy to really be that complementary piece, I would say.
And then as far as other news, yesterday, Zaire Franklin, who's a pretty good linebacker for the Colts, was traded to the Packers. They're anticipating Quay Walker is going to leave in free agency. The linebacker class, you got, Devin Lloyd, who was great with the Jaguars a year ago. He's going to probably break the bank, and I don't know if he's going back to Jacksonville. Trying the other linebackers available right now.
Anzalone, Nakobe Dean.
Nakobe Dean's probably going to Dallas to team up with Christian Parker, who was the DB's coach in Philly, but now he's the defense coordinator with the Cowboys. Bobby Wagner, older, but can he go join a team and bring some culture and a veteran presence to somebody that's willing to pay him some money in the latter portion of his career? I think this free agent class has some gems. It's not big names. There's not like big time quarterbacks in this free agency class, but wide receiver wise and pass rush wise, I think that's where people are most interested.
What about Tremaine Edmonds? Because he's going to get released.
He just got cut, and his names were attached. If the Bears and Raiders were going to pull off a trade, and could they include him in that with the Maxx Crosby deal? Yeah, I think those guys, like, the market for linebackers is going to be, less, obviously, because that position has been devalued along with running backs in this league, in my opinion. I think Tremaine Edmonds is a really good pass cover linebacker. Playing the run, not so much. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what teams need a good pass coverage linebacker out there.
The Raiders.
Raiders would be good. Just a matter of, I always wonder with certain guys, do they want to go get paid, or do they want to go win when it's later in their career? And they need the help. They're going to run a 3-4 defense, and he's been perfect in that scheme before. So, yeah, I think Tremaine Edmonds will be good with the Raiders. Yeah, that's a good fit right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as just and then there's guys available in cornerback. Tariq Woolen I mentioned as a good option with the Raiders or the 49ers. It sounds like the Rams are looking to get him too, because their secondary was terrible a year ago. And sure enough, while we were talking earlier, a deal has been reached with the Rams and Trent McDuffie on a new contract that's going to make him the highest paid corner in all of football right now. He's going to sign a 4-year, $124 million extension that includes $100 million guaranteed. Whoa! And he's making $31 million a year. As far as guarantees, when it comes to corners, Derek Stingley Jr. made the most at 89. Trent McDuffie making $100 million guaranteed. Wow, that's quarterback shit. That we're in that territory now.
This is like, well, I hope he plays it out. This is like D'Angelo Hall money right here that he's getting. Just let's market adjust it for 20 years in the future here.
Yeah, I would say D'Angelo something significantly less.
Yeah, but adjust it all for inflation and where the cap space is.
And
now,
by the way, that was a trade, right?
That was a trade, yes.
Yeah, the Raiders traded for D'Angelo Hall. God, what was that, 2008? I remember being on vacation in Florida.
Played 8 games.
Yeah, and right away it was like, why did Al trade for this guy?
Zone coverage cornerback and a bump.
And Al loves playing man-to-man. Like, that to me, that was like, it's really more on Al. We're like,
oh, yeah.
You knew what type of player D'Angelo Hall was. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway,
this is an incredible deal. So yeah, so like you said, highest paid, averages 31 million annually. So that'll surpass Colts Sauce Gardner at 30.1 million, and then obviously over with the Texans, you have Stingley, so at 30 million. So
who in my opinion is the best corner of football. But
he's amazing. No, he's incredible. He was great in college, and he's been amazing for the Texans. But that's a lot of money, and I mean, you always have to worry here too, because like if he's that good of a player, Kansas City, like, they're in the business of winning championships. Why would they just kind of, hey, here you go? I don't know. It's very interesting.
Because these teams can afford it when you're paying the quarterback. I mean, like, I know I sound like John Gruden, like you can't pay the quarterback and the pass rusher and the cornerback guys, but no, they just weren't in the business of we're going to pay $100 million guaranteed to a cornerback right now. We're just not that type of team right now. As far as other news, actually, when I think of the Chiefs, it sounds like Travis Kelce is going to come back. There's a report out there from Diana Rossini saying it's not really a question of if Travis Kelce wants to return this year. It's a question of, is he going to come back and play for the Chiefs? Which I'm like, at this point, like, I know we're entertaining, like Mike Evans going someplace else, but I can envision Mike Evans leaving the Buccaneers. I can't envision Travis Kelce leaving the Chiefs. And I thought that he was going to retire the way that he was talking on the podcast when, we'll see what the Chiefs do next year. It's like, well, you're part of that, bro. And I don't know when Mahomes is coming back, but it does sound like Kelce's going to either entertain options about playing or like listen to what teams are offering him. He could go into TV as well. So he's got option as far as playing or TV money. But if Travis Kelce were to leave the Chiefs, I'd be fascinated to see where he goes at this point in his career.
Well, he'd probably want to go somewhere where they utilize a tight end. He would also want to go somewhere with a good and established quarterback. So, the Rams, they play a lot of big personnel. At least they did this past season.
I think they are set at tight end. They got a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And they just signed back Tyler Higbee. So they got Colby Parkinson and Higbee and that guy they drafted just this past year. I think it was Davis Allen. Could be wrong on the name. I'm thinking, though, stay in that city. If Travis Kelce left, I think the Chargers would be great with him.
That'd be interesting, too. Yeah, I could also see the Chargers, and he's going to get a lot of run there because, they like to play the tight end as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. You know what? Those would be my two options for him. If he was to leave Kansas City, which I think would be kind of wild. That'd be a crazy thing to do just because you've had your whole career there. I get it. Maybe you want to go win another ring, but like, whatever. I mean, do what you want to do. But, and could you imagine LA? It's perfect for Travis Kelce too. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in LA.
Yeah.
Could it get any bigger?
No, I think that would be a match made in heaven, and he would be way more popular than he was before, honestly. Like, yes, he's incredibly popular right now, but can you imagine him all on the shows, all the media tours in LA? Yeah, that'd be big for him. But I don't, we're entertaining it right now. I don't see it happening. I think he's either going to retire or go back to the Chiefs. And I'm leaning more, I'm surprised he's coming back because I really don't know what he has to prove at this point. And the Chiefs seem to be like in a semi-rebuild, competitive rebuild.
Retool.
Yeah, like they want to win, but it's not going to be the same. And I don't know when Patrick Mahomes is coming back. So, yeah, we'll see about that one.
Andy Young stuff says he's in LA.
This is my childhood buddy who's trying to be funny here.
Oh, okay. So Andy, you're in LA.
But I'll read his comment more before I read anybody else's. And really rocking new eras because he got so butthurt and left the chat here. Andy Young says, also I'm in LA, so he could hang out with me. None of the corporate fat cats and bringing up two chickens.
No, I'm Andy's serious. I think we'd be good friends.
Andy's kind of a jokester, Lon. You'll learn that.
Did you know him in college?
Yeah, no, we actually grew up together. We were childhood buddies. We went to college together, and he likes to pop on the chat every now and then.
Love it. Well, Good to see you, Andy. And yeah, I think you and Travis Kelce would be great friends.
Oh,
But
wait,
yeah,
you know,
no.
yeah. Wait, so are you referencing the Brave Little Toaster sketch to him right
I
now?
am. If you're gonna, yeah, yep, I am.
Yeah, no, he directed that. He was that was his brainchild right there. Or
Real quick, so Andy, I have to tell you something. So I started in radio at 95.7 The Game, and I was Derek's intern. So he was like kind of my boss. And I had seen the Brave Little Toaster sketch on YouTube
Yeah.
before I had even met Derek Papa. So then one day I brought it up, and our board operator Ben goes, "How the hell do you know about that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You know who's in that, right?" And I went, and Derek kind of looks over. I went, "Oh, no way," because like I love the Brave Little Toaster, and the real life version is even better. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a fun video we did back in the day. The best is at the end where we gave like all of us credits as like actors, like real actors. It was like me, like Denzel Washington, but my face as it was the character that I was playing. So now that was a lot of fun back in the day. And it's crazy that like every now and then, like Copes brought up Action Man, which is a movie we did back in the day. He found out about it and talked about it on the radio, and I hit up Andy. It's just funny when like when I've been working in radio for so long now, so it's crazy to me when someone comes across my past life and all of the mystery behind it. And when they go too far and know too much, I have to kill them.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we'll move on.
Yeah, Andy remembers we had Kevin Spacey play a character in that Brave Little Toaster thing. It was just like it was like clearly not them, where it was me and my buddy Jamie, and the title or the credits would say like Kevin Spacey is this guy or Denzel Washington. Like it clearly was not them. So that was the joke, people. Yeah. All right, moving on here.
It was a good joke too.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to think of anything else we haven't covered with free agency. One name to keep out for the 49ers. John Franklin Myers, who's a defensive tackle / defensive end with the Denver Broncos. He is a versatile player. I think he's got 7.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. So I think that'd be a pretty good move, and they definitely need some pass rush help there. They need help on the interior of the defensive line or outside as well. So everyone that's talking about the 49ers and free agency, that's a name that I've heard the most. So look out for John Franklin Myers potentially tomorrow to sign with the Niners.
Be a good pickup. Can play like kind of that. Well, he can play 3 tech, but he can play like head up on the tackle, 5 technique. So I mean, that's kind of Niners bread and butter right there when it comes to a pass rusher, and then you can blitz guys off the edge off of him too. So no, that'd be a good pickup.
Absolutely. And then lastly, we'll see what happens with the quarterbacks. I think at this point, everyone's anticipating Kyler Murray to go sign with the Minnesota Vikings, which would be interesting and honestly not the best for JJ McCarthy. I think that's going to suck for him. Where how could he benefit from that? Because Kyler's not going to help him. No. I think Kyler will get in there and take it as a he'll compete and he'll sign for the vet minimum. But if you're going to put JJ McCarthy in a situation where he can benefit going forward, then bring in a veteran quarterback that'll actually help him. And I just think Kyler's out, for himself, wants to be the quarterback of that team. And with what went on with the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold this past year and firing their GM, if he balls out for them, then they're going to hang on to him and give him a new contract. So with signing Kyler Murray, I think that's the death of JJ McCarthy. If I were the Vikings, I would look at maybe Derek Carr. I know you got to trade for him, but it's only like a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick where he just leaves. Yeah. The other moves, we're waiting for Tua to be officially released, but that could be a post-June 1st thing. Kirk Cousins will be cut as well. Aaron Rodgers not officially telling people he's coming back yet, but leaning in that direction. Yeah, if Kyler Murray signs with the Vikings, Alon, what do you think about that?
I think we talked about it last time too, where it's just that's the kind of guy where it's not good for JJ McCarthy. It's just you drafted this kid out of Michigan. You expect him to be a kind of a franchise quarterback because you take him in the 1st round, and then you go not replace him, but you put a guy who's going to win the job from him, right? Kyler Murray will win that job, and it's there. He's a different quarterback than JJ, and it's just he's not going to be that mentor guy. He's a guy with a whole nother, in his mind, 10 years ahead of him in the league who wants to keep playing at a high level and things like that. So I think you need more of an elder statesman kind of guy in there if you want to do what's best for JJ. Now, if the Vikings don't have any confidence in JJ McCarthy and they're like, hey, you know what? We just messed up with this draft pick, then sure, go get Kyler Murray. But
right.
I don't think that they're there.
Yeah, I said it before. I think that the best situation for him would be a backup quarterback with the Rams. Go learn from Stafford and then eventually take that job over, but he's not going to do that. He wants to get paid, or not get paid, but go to a place where he could actually play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kyler, it's inevitable he's going to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. Real quick here, we do have breaking news. The Raiders have made a trade. Teron Johnson, who was going to be cut by the Buffalo Bills, is going to the Raiders. It's a 6-7 pick swap. The other day, Aaron Rodgers said this guy's one of the better football players. He's a pretty good corner. And it's just a numbers game there with the Buffalo Bills where they drafted, God, who's that guy they drafted a year ago along that is not coming to my mind right now. Number 31. I'll find out later. And they have God, the other, I'm blanking on everybody that plays DB for the Buffalo Bills right now. Number 39, who had that great interception against the Bengals. Nevertheless, with the Raiders, they need a cornerback help. Teron Johnson.
Hairston is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, Maxwell Hairston. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's a great move for the Raiders. They going after a player that was going to get cut and not giving up a ton of draft capital. I think that's a great move.
Yeah, no, I mean, they need all the defensive help they can get, especially on the back end, and you need people that have a semblance of experience. So go for it. And to be able to, that's what you should use those later picks for, because generally they don't pan out for you on your roster. So you should use them for people that are already established and see if you can get some good value back for them.
Yeah, Christian Benford, they're loaded when it comes to cornerbacks right now. They still have, Tre'Davious White probably will not be on the team anymore, but they got Maxwell Hairston. They got their nickel corner, Cam Lewis, and they got Christian Benford, who made that amazing play against Joe Burrow in the snow a year ago. So, yeah, with it being a numbers game and the Buffalo Bills moving on from one of their better corners and Teron Johnson, older player, but that makes a ton of sense for the Raiders. So good move on their part. And also just to say something with the Raiders, or close out with the Raiders, I should say. Geno Smith released as well. We knew that was coming with the inevitable of Fernando Mendoza being the number one pick. Geno's time with the Raiders, look, it was exciting a year ago when he was traded for a third-round pick. I thought that first game, it showed a lot where he has the arm strength and the potential, throwing for over 400 yards in that game. We knew it was going to be where he throws for a ton of yards, but also a ton of picks. And I never thought it was going to be a long-term solution, but the sack numbers, his frustration, him calling out the team sometimes and saying, like, blame everything on me. It seemed like he was just not a fan of Chip Kelly. So the other type of guy that's not going to be a good mentor to Fernando Mendoza. Like, not to say that Geno Smith can't be that good mentor to another young quarterback, but with the Raiders and that whole situation where it was supposed to be where he was the new guy, yeah, it's best that they move on from him.
Yeah, no, that relationship's done. And it's not because the Raiders organizationally, it's because of a coaching standpoint of what happened last season and the offensive line being so discombobulated, and he was just running for his life. He got banged up and he kept playing because he's tough, but no, he needs to find another place to go play because it's not going to be with the Raiders. And yeah, I mean, just total reset. You don't hold him over. It's a total reset. You do not hold him over.
Don Peralta in the chat says the Vikings should sign Garoppolo. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go that route, but it does sound like he's a possibility with the Arizona Cardinals because of Mike LaFleur. And Mike LaFleur has loved him since the Niner days. It sounds like Malik Willis is going to be that guy, but keep an eye out on Jimmy Garoppolo potentially being the Arizona Cardinals' next quarterback. And then just one more move that happened while we were talking. Alec Ingold, who used to play for the Raiders and went on to the Miami Dolphins, he was cut the other day. He's going to be reunited with Mike McDaniel, and we know they want to run the football. Jim Harbaugh loves himself some fullbacks, so he joins the Chargers. Alec Ingold. All right, and that's all we got as far as NFL news, and there'll be plenty tomorrow. I'll be back on at 7:15. Alon's taking the night out, taking the night off, but I'll be filling in. Or not filling in, just doing the show solo. So please join me, everybody, Don Peralta, and everybody in the chat, and I'll acknowledge your texts, Rocket, if you want to come back. But we'll do that tomorrow, as there'll be plenty of news, plenty of breaking news, maybe some more trades, but everybody. We all know the tampering window. There's a new element to it this year where players can talk to owners and general managers with Zoom calls. So the process may take a little longer for guys to sign, but I do think it's going to be hot and heavy still tomorrow, when before it was just agents negotiating deals with players. But before we get out of here, Alon, as we always do on the weekend shows, want to do a little jackass of the week and a little pop culture catch up. So I'll give it to you, sir. Who is your jackass of the week?
My jackass of the week is whoever leaked I don't know how many people in here followed WNBA and what's going on there, but they just had an amazingly successful season, really the past 2 years. The WNBA PA Players Association has been trying to fight for more compensation for the players. The league and them have gone back and forth about something that is a good deal. But anyway, there was a letter written by Breonna Stewart and Kelsey Plum, and they wrote it to the executive director of the WNBA Players Association. Someone leaked the letter, and the letter was basically wanting things to be more transparent. They wanted it to say, hey, the PA should be fighting a little harder, just things like that. Anyway, the letter got leaked, and now it makes it look like some of the players aren't exactly all in lockstep with the Players Association, and it kind of takes some of the leverage away from the players in the WNBA to try to get more money. And so whoever leaked that, for whatever reason, maybe they wanted to get clicks or whatever the deal was, that is my jackass of the week. And we don't know who leaked it. So it's making things tougher, and there could be a strike in the WNBA. So if that was your goal, whoever leaked it, great job.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the labor negotiations with the WNBA. You still hear me, Alon? Sorry, my computer was freezing up there for a second. Yeah, that's unfortunate that happened, but yeah, I really don't know a lot of details of that about that one in particular. As far as my jackass of the week, I'm going to play the audio too here. This is Russell Westbrook from the other night. So the Sacramento Kings are having a terrible season.
Which I think though. Y'all got
sorry, I'm just playing audio while I'm talking. Russell Westbrook, every year it seems that he has one moment where he wants to go after the media, whether it was with Bonte back in the day when he was with OKC and he was calling him out in the post game, called out Zaza Pachulia, said he's got something for his ass next time. Wherever he goes, he has an issue, whether it was with the Lakers or Rockets. There's always one time a year where Russell Westbrook goes to a new team and wants to call out the media. And the Kings are terrible. Kings are awful. But yet he has a problem with the way the Sacramento media, and by all means, we know that the Sacramento media is big time. Not to call them out or anything, but like that's not a big market to be offended by. Like go play for the Knicks, go play for the Lakers, which you have already. But now you're going to get pissed off about the Kings media. So this is just a little taste of what Russell Westbrook was upset about with the Kings media, I should say.
Which I think though. Because y'all got a lot of answers and y'all always be talking. Oh, it's very interesting. Y'all don't got no. You guys have a lot of opinions about how we do what we doing. What you got? No, you. Yeah, you make a lot of statements and broad statements that you have no context. So where do you get your context from? Are you in practice? Are you at our film session? Are you anywhere around the building? No, I haven't seen her practice. So the false context of, and actually, do you know me? No, you don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know me. But you make a lot of comments as though you do know me. No, you don't. My intent, I see it. But I'm asking you now, but you don't know me, right? So you don't know anything about me. Thank you. That's good. Anybody else? You guys have any comments about how we play, what we doing? You guys are quiet today, but you guys have a lot of comments when the game's going on. After the game, what we doing, what we should be doing, how we should be doing it. I'm confused. Oh, let me hear. You must have been in our film session too.
I'm not in your film session, but you guys have the worst record in the NBA.
Cool.
You guys, like, been bottom 3 in offense and defense throughout the year.
Perfect.
So, I mean, I think that's fair to.
What's fair?
It's fair to point that out.
Yeah, that's been pointed out, but that's not the only thing that's been talked about. What else is to point out?
Well, I can only speak for myself. But
Yeah, but that's not the only thing you say. I've seen things you say. It's not just about our offense and our defense and what our record is. We've been the worst record for a long time now.
what if I said?
I don't want to go down the route, but I mean, we can. I'm asking you. You have a lot of things to say, so this is your time.
And that's the issue I have, where the reporter asks him, what are some things that I have said? And he goes, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. No, that's your time as well, Russell Westbrook, to call out the media. If you have issues with the things that they have said, then by all means, give an example, give lists of what you have issues with. But if it's strictly basketball that they've been critiquing, then you shouldn't have a problem with it. And honestly, I don't know how old Russell Westbrook is, but this is old. Like,
Yeah.
it's old for a player of his caliber and a player of his age to be like, oh, I'm sorry, are you in our film sessions? Do you know what we go through? Dude, no one's saying like they work as hard as you or anything, but like to act like the media is a nuisance, and I get it. Like my whole life, I've always been like, I don't really give a shit like when it comes to the media, when it comes to players, the players can call them out all they want. But it's easier for me to get behind you if you have a good record or you're playing well. When you're 14-50 and you're upset that they're critical of the basketball team, I'm sorry, you're a jackass if you're calling them out one by one to be like, what's your issue with us? And when they're telling you it's basketball, then that's all it should be. But I think Russell Westbrook's too old to be pulling this crap still.
Well, I just looked it up because I was thinking the same thing while I was watching it. I went, how old is Russell Westbrook now? He's 37, and he's had these moments before. I get it, frustrated being on the worst team in the NBA, 50th loss. Maybe it fired him up. They're up 47-39 right now against the Bulls. But I mean, like, to be serious, I don't get it. I understand it. Now I'd have to go read some of the, what's the Sacramento Bee saying about Russell Westbrook and the Kings. So if they are really saying like, oh, he's not trying hard and this and that, I could understand him taking offense to that. But also at the same time, like, dude, Russ, this is Sacramento media. No offense to Sacramento media, but like you said, Derek, it's not New York. It's not LA. I mean, they're not going out after you, I wouldn't think. So I don't know. I think Russell Westbrook's so far above that and should be beyond that because he's been an amazing player his entire career, basically, and he's towards the end of his career. He shouldn't even give mind about what those people are saying in the newspaper. That's my opinion.
I agree with you as well. All right, let's do a little pop culture catch-up, Alon. Some things that you've been watching, anything you've been listening. I know we did a little bit of it last time, but anything in between that time that you watched or read even? We don't talk about books enough on this podcast, which I need to get into more.
Books. Oh, someone in our chat recommended me a book, and I think it was
AJ Cruz.
It was AJ Cruz.
Yeah.
He wants me to read Blood.
He's a reader.
Yeah. I told him, I said, I will try to read it. I guess it's the same person who wrote No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
But I mostly read like journal articles and like research. Sports stuff too. Like I read nonfiction. If it's nonfiction, I'm reading it. I have a very hard time reading novels. As far as pop culture goes, what have I watched? I watched the WWE Elimination Chamber. That's what I watched. That's the big pop culture thing I've watched. I watched it on replay, and I watched that movie, The Working Man, which I already mentioned last week. I haven't been able to watch much.
No,
of it, Eric.
It's all good. It's all good. So the other night, I'll start by this. I have the last 2 weeks been doing dirty work with a new fill-in host every day. And I've had the help of Tim Webb and Danny Dunn helping me out. And my guy Dan Dunn is a big-time horror movie fan. During Halloween, he'll spend the month of October watching a different scary movie every night, and he'll put out a list. And props to Dan Dunn. This past year, of the movies he watched, high on his list was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is a pretty good movie.
Oh, the animated one.
Yeah.
I have that on VHS.
Oh, yeah. It's terror
Somewhere.
time again, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
I remember that.
And I remember that was promoted as This Time the Monsters Are Real, which they were. Scared me shitless. It was a bunch of crazy cat people in New Orleans. But Danny is obsessed with scary movies, horror movies, thrillers. He left one show to go catch Scream 7. And I was like, "You're leaving to go see Scream 7?" He goes, "I love those movies." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I got to be honest. I haven't seen any of them." And he was like, "Oh, you got to watch them." So I never been a scary movie guy myself. I'll admit it. And and Andy will tell you in the chat here, kind of a pussy when it comes to scary movies. Just can't do it in the theater. My whole my friends would tell you when there's a scary movie trailer coming up, I usually got my hat, coming over my hands, and just be like, "Oh, this is stupid, guys. This is stupid." So I'm curious because I grew up on the scary movies, and when you watch like a parody movie, sometimes you don't get the jokes. I was like, I should probably see Scream. It's cultural, at this point, like it's 30 years old, and they made 7 movies. I gotta check out at least one of them. So I watched Scream the other night. Not bad. I know the opening scene with Drew Barrymore is iconic. The rest of it, it's pretty good meta humor, like very 90s, very cheesy at times, but it's acknowledging that it kind of knows it's a movie. Everyone talks about movies in it, and it's all about Jamie Kennedy's character being the nerd, just what you do in a horror movie, what you don't do in a horror movie. So I thought it was well done. I could see where Scary Movie gets a lot of its jokes from. I hear the sequels even better, where they get more meta about it with the sequels. So yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this like later on in my life, but I saw Scream for the first time, and I'm kind of interested in seeing the rest of them.
You might you might have found your avenue of horror, Derek. It might be slasher horror.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, even like Scream's not scary to me. Like that was just a thriller. Like if I saw that in the theaters when I was younger, it probably would spook me a little bit. But watching it on Paramount Plus, I'm just like, this is fun, but like it's not scary by any means.
No, I've seen 1 through 3. I haven't seen 4 through 7. I will go catch up, but I like the slasher genre. So maybe you're getting it. You should check out Saw. Check out the Saw movies.
I have seen. So my buddy Jamie, who lived with me and Andy back in the day, he's obsessed with scary movies. I have seen the first Saw. The ending is great. And I've seen The Ring. I know Pat H in the chat here says I like The Ring. I've seen The Ring. I've seen a few. Like I'm not gonna never see any scary movies, and because I'm too scared and pee my pants. But like, I've seen The Shining. I've seen a handful of them. Seen a lot of Jordan Peele movies. I wouldn't say those are scary either, but yeah, I guess I'm just not for like the torture porn stuff. Even though I think maybe Saw kind of gets in that territory.
It does.
I just can't handle it in a movie theater. And even though like I'm like a big advocate for like keep movies in movie theaters, like let's stop all the streaming shit. If you ask me to go see like a scary movie in the movie theater, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll catch you when it's streaming.
Yeah. I mean, there's the last horror movie I saw in the movie theater. I believe it was called. Oh God, it was like something in the woods.
Cabin in the Woods?
No, not Cabin in the Woods.
That's like really old, and like another meta horror movie.
Oh, was it called Walk in the Woods? It was frick. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. It was a slasher movie, actually.
All right.
Yeah. So I forget what it was called. I'll remember it for next episode. I'll recommend it to everybody. But yeah, there's some good horror movies. There's also, I will say, there's no genre. It's probably that and comedy that are tied for most worst movies. So if you like bad movies, horror movies is number 1 for bad movies as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I thought it was funny. There's funny moments in Scream, but I did not expect. I didn't even know this. I didn't know Henry Winkler was in it, and he plays the goofy principal and meets his ultimate demise as well. Not to spoil it for anybody. Just catching up on pop culture catch up. The show Ted, the new season of Ted. You watched it all on?
Nope.
On Peacock. You see the movies though, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I saw the first one.
Okay. Ted, I love the movie. Sequel was okay. The show was hilarious. The timing of it, the goofy nature of it. I recommend season 2 if no one's watched it yet. I guess they're ending it because I guess Seth MacFarlane I guess announced that this show is so expensive to make, and that makes sense. You got a computer animated bear in every episode. They're going to do like a farewell episode coming up in the next couple weeks here. So that's unfortunate because it's, I think, one of the funnier shows on TV right now. The guy that plays the younger version of Mark Wahlberg is really fun. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But so far, I'm 2 episodes in, laughing my ass off. It's actually pretty well done.
Well, while you're at it, since you have Paramount, is that on Paramount or is that on?
It's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock.
It's on the cock.
Okay. Yeah, it is because it's Seth MacFarlane. Oh, I was gonna say, well, if it was on Paramount, you should also just go back and rewatch all of Reno 911. I did that recently again, and I seem to do that every 2 or 3 years.
You know, that's a show that I've always caught on Comedy Central, and I never watched it from start to end. So maybe I need to do that as well.
Well,
last one in pop culture catch up. I don't watch SNL anymore consistently or at all. I'm more of like a old school SNL lover. I just don't think it's as funny as it used to be. But the Gorillas performed the other night, and that's rare because they rarely do like, you know, performances like that on television, let alone with, you know, the actual members of Gorillas. It's usually like
animated.
The animated cartoon characters that they developed 25 years ago. And I'm a Gorillas fan. I haven't listened to the new album yet. I know there's a lot of sitars on it. It's more experimental, but the fact that Gorillas performed last night and performed their hit song Clint Eastwood, love that. And shout out to my favorite Bay Area rapper, Del the Funky Homo Sapien. He's on the song. That's how I got to know him. You know, at this point in his career, he's been in the rap game for over 40 years now, probably. And that was his first time performing on SNL. So that was pretty awesome.
That's sweet. I'll have to go back and watch that. SNL is always good for a good musical performance. There's always multiple good musical performances every year, I feel like. But I'm right there with you. Like, and Gorillaz also, their new album, I was actually talking to a buddy about it who picked it up or downloaded it or whatever. And he was like, not what I was expecting. He's like, not bad, but I guess it'd been like 12 years since they had the last album out. So yeah, I guess
it hasn't been that long. No, I think they made an album like a couple years ago.
I didn't know,
but they've definitely have gotten more experimental throughout the years. But yeah, I mean, I love their music. I love their, you know, sometimes they go off the walls. You know, a lot of the hip hop that they incorporate. You know, De La Soul and Del, and I think Black Thought's on the new album, Mos Def. So I enjoy all of the artists that they work with. And it was just awesome to see that last night, where I wouldn't have thought that they would have performed that song, nor that Del would have shown up all the way from the Bay Area to New York to perform that, but pretty cool opportunity. So, yeah, that was awesome. All right, everybody. I think we've been talking for 2 hours right now. And we'll be back tomorrow. Well, I will. Alon's taking the night off tomorrow, but I'll be back to react to all of the free agency frenzy. And, yeah, so we covered it all. Maxx Crosby gets dealt to the Baltimore Ravens. You know, we'll see if there's any more trades. Doesn't sound like the A.J. Brown deal is going down, but we'll see a bunch of movement tomorrow. And, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow at 7:15. We'll probably do a show on Tuesday as well, depending on what happens free agency-wise. But you'll see a lot of us this week. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Don Peralta. Thanks to Pat H. Crap Section, as always. Thanks to my man Andy Young popping in. I just saw his comment here. Dude, I just saw the Gorillas at the Palladium a few nights ago. Oh, fuck yeah. It was amazing. Black Thought, Del, Booty Brown. Nice, dude. That's fucking sweet. Nice. We always got Ernie One in here. And, Andy has another comment here. Derek, have me on for an Oscar episode. Come on, gang. Let's get hashtag have Andy on the episode of JYOM where they talk about the Oscars. Thank you for it. You know what, Andy? It's funny you say that because I actually was thinking about doing that for next week. So I'll text you after we're done here and we'll set that up. Because I want to do an Oscars.
I love that hashtag. It's way too long.
It's a long hashtag, but
yeah,
it definitely encapsulates everything that Andy wants to get across in that statement. We had Rocca Nuera, who was upset that we weren't talking WBC. Sorry about that. We got Jimmy Brown 2040. I don't know who the hell that is, but thank you for chiming in today. Chewy's Raiders coverage, and I believe that is it. All right, buddy. We will see you tomorrow for a little free agency fuckery. Alon, say what you always say going forward, my friend.
Hey, Derek, you might think scary movies are too scary and that they're not very good, but that's just your opinion, man.